Good evening, everyone. This is Roy Ryer at SEO Training, SW.com. With our webinar this evening, we're going to be speaking about intermediate SEO. And just before we begin, I just want to make sure that you're hearing me. Some of you could just type a question in the question box, make sure that you guys are hearing me, or make a little chat in the chat box. That'd be great. Okay, great. Thank you, Dirk. Thank you, everybody. I've started these webinars before, and maybe the audio's not working or the video's not working, and just things just don't work out the way they usually do. So we'll get started here in a little bit. We have a large group tonight that's going to be on our webinar. Typically, people come in a little late or whatever. So, but there are a few things I'd like to speak about prior to we start our webinar this evening. First off, for those of you that have never been on any of our webinars before, have never been on our website, we have a bunch of free SEO resources for you guys, all the way from beginner to advanced. We record all our webinars, like tonight's webinar that we're having with you tonight is going to be recorded. It'll take a few days for our webinar to be rendered, but we'll have this on the site. And you could, come back and invite your friends and, have them watch this video again, or you can watch it again, or invite your friends to watch it again. We have a lot of free content, beginner to advanced. So our website is SEO Training, SW.com. And you can access a lot of our free video training stuff right there, on that little tab where it says free SEO training. That next tab over is SEO tips, and that's where we have our free articles, our SEO tips of the week, things that are going on in the internet and the SEO community that you affect us. And let me just before we get really started here, Jeanette Degner just there. She comes. I'm going to need to make Jeanette, if I could figure out how to make Jeanette. Anyway, Jeanette's in the call tonight, so I'm going to have to make her figure out a way to give her access. But anyway, next up here, now we do all this with just one favor or one request. If you're on our website, you find something that you enjoy reading, if you see a video that you like watching, we just ask one thing from you, and that is to, share the love. Give us a Facebook like on the side of the pages. On our website, we have the Facebook like buttons, the tweet buttons, the LinkedIn share buttons. So, please share the love. This is how we get out there and we're able to, share this information through our contacts out there, your contacts out there. So we ask you to return the favor. Also, if you listening to any of our past videos or reading any of our posts, we welcome your comments. If you have any comments, questions about anything, any particular video you might be watching, any particular post you might be reading, just put a comment down there, and we'll reply to your comment. We'll try to answer any particular questions that you may have regarding that particular article or your post. Also tonight, we're going to do something a little different. At the end of tonight's, towards the end, excuse me, we get a drink of water. Towards the end of tonight's webinar, we're going to, ask you guys to give us any particular question you may have regarding SEO. And what I'll do is I'll just say, Jeanette, you're on mute. Do you hear me? I just unmuted Jeanette. She came in as a regular user. But basically, for the person who asked the best question tonight, I will give them 1 hour of free SEO consultation. We typically charge, $150 for this to sit down with you, to answer your questions. They'll maybe do a site review, whatever it might be. So, as we're going through this, try to think of your most difficult, hardest, easiest, whatever it might be. And Jeanette, she's on the call with me tonight. Also, Gail Wright. I'm going to unmute Gail also. I'm going to unmute Gail back up again. Okay. There was a little noise in Gail's speakers coming out. But Gail Wright works with us, and I was going to unmute her and ask her to, be one of the judges in the best the question tonight. So, guys, let's get started. And again, welcome to tonight's presentation. Tonight's presentation is about intermediate SEO, um, and but it's very important for you guys to understand um, that you need to have a strong foundation in place before you really move into some of these more advanced techniques we're going to be speaking about tonight. So to start this presentation out this evening, we're going to review some of the basic SEO principles, and then we're going to move on to what some of the more advanced intermediate SEO techniques. Now, when I meet somebody for the first time and they really don't know what SEO is about, or they have an idea, it might be at a dinner party or whatever, family gathering, and I tell them into SEO, search engine optimization. They often, comment to me, hey, they think this kind of work is something to do with voodoo, or you're trying to trick the search engines. Well, guys, this is completely false. Okay? What I think of SEO is part of an art and a part science, where we do things, certain things, to various elements of a website and to its various web pages, so it becomes more interesting to our human readers, our human audience. Okay? It used to be, SEO a few years back, I would have said we do things to our various pages to make it more interesting to the search engines. But now SEO is really all about engagement. So we need to focus our attention on our human audience first. So, and then after we get our site tuned up for our human audience, we'll go into the website and we're going to probably do a few tweaks here and there. So we make the search engines like it too. So when our audience is engaged and when our websites tweaked up so the search engines like it, they will both they'll both come to it, they'll both like it, and the search engines are going to add it to its index. So there's no magic formula, there's no magic program, there's no magic wand you're going to wave on your website and make it popular. Okay, it just doesn't happen like that anymore. Now, one of the first most important things with SEO, I mean, this is SEO 101, what we're going to be talking about. So, those of you that know some of this, it might be a little refresher for you. But there might be a few things that you might have forgot about, when you went through the training, or you're just ignoring right now. But one of the most important thing on your website for your human audience and the search engines is the title of your page. This is the most important element you need to optimize. Why? Well, your page title is the first line of the text that's going to appear in the search engine listings. So your page title should read well to sell to your audience, while also stealing the click away from the competition. Now, those of you that might be familiar with journalism or newspapers, the headline of that particular news story is the most important part of that story in the printed newspaper. It's the same exact thing. Okay? You want your title to be a little bit more catchier while still using a keyword to attract your audience to want to open that particular page when they see it on the page of Google, and have enough information so Google knows exactly what that page is about. Now, here's some common guidelines for your page titles. Limit your titles to about 120 characters. Less than 70 is optimal. Your title should contain information that's specific to that page's most important keyword. All right? One keyword. That's what you're going to focus that page title on. Now, each page title on your website should be unique. You don't want to have duplicate page titles. And your page title should be in the head section of your HTML document. Please don't use repeat words. Repeat words was a way that we could spam the search engines a couple years ago, a few years back. That stuff doesn't work anymore. And if Google feels at all that you're trying to spam them, you're going to suffer the penalties. Now, here's just some examples of a good page title or a bad page title, in fact. The title here, we have Arizona Healthcare Insurance Agency. We see the tag on the left. That's the opening title tag to tell the search engines, but also the HTML code that's saying this is the title. And then at the end, we have that slash. And so we're using this as an example of a page that's going to be describing healthcare policies available from Arizona Blue Shield. Now you can see that title A is not very descriptive. All right, doesn't have enough information, just Blue Shield. Number two, title B is a little bit better. It says, hey, Blue Shield, but Blue Shield's a national company. Okay. So if your page is specific for Arizona, or your website is specific for Arizona, we want to add a geo modifier. So look at Title C, Arizona Blue Shield Healthcare Plans. We can see that our title is keyword rich. It's describing both to our audience and to our search engine, to the search engines, what our page title is all about. Meta descriptions. Your meta descriptions also another very important element of on-page SEO. Your page's description is what typically appears as the second line in the search engine result pages. Therefore, it should be something that's very descriptive and have a trigger action to steal that click away from your competition. All right, you want some sort of call to action, a trigger in your description. So when your audience sees that, it's going to be something that's going to entice them to click on your link. And if you have a stronger trigger action, even if you're, down a few spots, you might be number 3, you might be number 4. As long as you have a better trigger call to action than number 1 and number 2, the people that are above you, you're going to steal that traffic away from your competitors. Here are some common guidelines for meta descriptions. Your meta description should be limited to 180 characters. 120 is best. You should blend in keywords from that page. Each page on your site should have a unique meta tag description. Number 4, it should be readable to your human reader. You want your meta tag so when your human reader sees this listed in Google, they know exactly what the description of the page is. Stop. I still see it so often where people just doing keyword stuffing in their meta description tag. And so even if they do get listed, the audience is going to, hey, this looks like it's spammy. I'm not going to go there. Now, the beginning of your description, at the very beginning area of it, you should have this area contain your most important keywords. Okay. And think of this as a string of words that are your keywords. And this should appear in the head section of your HTML code. Now, here's an example. We have a web page that's going to describe healthcare policies available from Arizona Blue Shield. Here's a description for description A. Browse healthcare policies available from Arizona Blue Shield. Get the right plan for you and your family today. Now, this is pretty good. This is a good starting point. It's marketable. You can see we have kind of a trigger in here. But, we still could tweak this up. We probably could look at maybe bringing some of the keyword phrases up into the beginning of this. So we could start it with Arizona Blue Shield. All right. And see how this goes. Now, you want to look at, when you're doing this type of stuff, you want to look at your Google Analytics and see how this is working. When you change your description, where your click-through rate is. And an easy way to split test this is if you have a Google AdWords account. We do a lot of split testing with Google AdWords with the description. So it's the same thought process. Here with your meta description, you do have a little bit more room where you could put more words in there, but think of it the same way. Now, description, again, Blue Shield, description B is just way too short. Here's description C. Here we could see we're keyword stuffing. All right. Health insurance, comma, Arizona, comma. It doesn't read well. we're just, whoever put this particular title together, it's very evident that we're keyword stuffing. Now, meta keywords. Your meta keywords are the least important element to focus on in on-page optimization. Most search engines don't even use them anymore because of spamming issues. Now, it can be useful to use this keywords for some coding that, sometimes we'll use some particular CS coding on a website where we're going to add a search box into or a search field into a website that we're working on a client. And in those cases, because of the back end, we might include the beta keyword field. But that's the only time we're going to be doing that. But here's some common guidelines again for those of you that would like to still use meta keywords. Keep your limit to 12 keyword phrases. Use commas between your phrases. Don't keyword stuff. Again, don't repeat words. Each page on your site should have unique meta keywords, because each page on your site is different. Important keywords of that particular page should be at the beginning. The keywords should appear on that page, and this appears in the head section of your HTML code. Now, here's an example of a meta keyword for our Arizona Blue Shield website. Arizona Blue Shield healthcare policies, comma. Arizona healthcare policy information, comma. Healthcare policies of Arizona Blue Cross. So this is just an example for those of you that want to still continue using keywords. Headline tags. Headline tags are extremely important when you're doing on-page SEO. And again, we're talking about some of the basic stuff before we get into the more advanced intermediate stuff. But the HTML headline tag denotes the text as a header and are assigned values through 1 to 7, with 1 being the most important. And the most common usage of this is the title. Those of you who have their WordPress, by default, WordPress makes the title of your particular page your H1 tag. Now, here's some guidelines, especially those of you guys that use WordPress, something to be careful about. Only one H1 tag per page designates the most important element of your page to your human reader and to the search engine. Now, because WordPress by default uses your title as the H1 tag, therefore, you should not reuse that H1 tag in the body area of your particular article. You're going to start using H2 tags and H3 tags and so on. Typically, I don't see much, Google, as far as I could tell, really doesn't go any further than H3. So as far as giving it any type of preference, I have never seen it. By the way, somebody else might have. So my recommendation is focus on using your H2 and H3 tags to designate important elements of your page. Use CSS to control how your H tags are displayed in the browser for your human reader. And your most important keywords should appear toward the beginning of your H tag. Now, here's an example of an H1 tag for a title. H1, Blue Shield of Arizona Health Insurance Policies. These are some other HTML tags, that you could use for internal purposes only. They typically don't add much weight to your on-page SEO strategy. Meta tag, author, the robots, index, follow, no index, follow, revisit. Google's going to come back whenever it feels, guys. All right. So unless number 6 would be important, where if you were using a .com website for a site that was targeting another language other than the USA. Was doing some of the global things. We have a older post that we wrote probably about 2 months ago that go into a lot more detail on number 6. And this, I would only, maybe reference that if you're doing, say, if you're in Australia or, Asia or somewhere else other than the USA with a .com site, and your site is specifically targeting a particular country or general area. Comment tags. Never use comment tagging for keywords as it's considered spamming. This is an example of a comment spam. Use comment tagging. And I've seen, we've had clients come to us that have been basically banned by Google. They couldn't figure out why. Google dropped them from the index. And we open it up and we see the web developer or somebody is using these comment tags. And just by removing them and doing a few other things, the site was Google, after filing the re-inclusion request by Google re-included it. Now, some people, now the image alt is a tribute. It's not a tag. Some people like to call the image alt tag. That's incorrect. It's actually an image alt attribute. And it defines an image in an HTML page, and it has two required attributes. The main reason to use the alt attribute, it serves as an aid for your visually impaired visitors who may be using a screen reader to read your web page. Therefore, use proper descriptive text to describe your important images on your page without keyword stuffing. And here's an example, an image of a family healthcare policies on our Blue Cross and Blue Shield website. We're using the image screen, the family.gif, the width, and the alt, family health insurance. And please, we've had several students go through our class, and I've worked with a number of other people that are using screen readers. They're visually impaired. And please keep them in mind with your images, because I've seen how these work sitting down next to them, and they come across this image. Let's use my Radar Roy example. Radar detectors. And by having the correct image tag, they say image escort 8500 radar detector. That's okay. They understand that. The visually impaired that's using a screen reader is going to be okay with that. But they don't want to hear 50 texts of, versions of what this image is going to be about. They don't want to hear about your keyword stuffing. If they do, they're going to leave your website. Now, we're going to go and drive forward to intermediate SEO. Now, I don't want you to think, hey, that guys, those of you that, are first-time callers, don't know much about SEO in the first place. I don't want you to go away from this thinking, well, that's all there is to know about basic SEO. No, there's a lot more to learn about it. And if you guys want to learn about it, again, we have a lot of free videos in our free SEO training area, a lot of free basic SEO stuff. We're going to jump ahead right now, and we're going to get kind of into more of the intermediate SEO stuff. And guys, during this call, if you have any question that comes up, please ask. Start typing these away now. I know there's going to be a lot of people asking questions. There's no possible way. I'm looking at here right now, we have close to 700 people on the call tonight. And there's no possible way that I'm going to be able to answer everybody's call or everybody's question. So we'll kind of maybe summarize some of these. But if you get your question in early, we'll be able to maybe get to it and answer your question. And there's no way I could answer every question about SEO. We'll be on this question, we'll be on this call for the next 2 days. But, start thinking about some good questions again, because we're going to be giving away that free 1 hour of SEO consulting to the first the question that Jeanette or Gail picks out as being the best. These are some of the things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about a little bit about keyword research on tonight's call. And this is, those of you on the call, I'm going to warn you, this is probably going to be a rather long webinar. We're already 30 minutes into the call. So this might be like a 90-minute webinar, guys. We're going to have a lot of good information. We're going to be talking about keyword research. We're going to be talking a little bit about Google Webmaster tools, content marketing, some advanced HTML markup coding, microdata, XML coding, multimedia, social media, and some of the competitive research stuff. All right, and that's all going to be wrapped up and we'll try to get this all done in 45 minutes, 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I'm going to give you some of the highlights of all this. Now, keyword research. Keyword research is something I call the foundation of all SEO in internet marketing. And as you move into intermediate SEO, more advanced SEO, you're going to start learning how to do this better and better and better. You're going to learn how to learn and master the various free SEO tools and some of the paid tools out there. Google Keyword Tools, SpyFu, Word Tracker, and such. And as you're doing this more and more, you're going to learn and understand why this is the foundation and why this is so critically important, and how it relates to organic search, paid search, and even competitive research. Um, this is one tool that I really love using. It's SpyFu. And now, before you guys, if you're watching this and you go, oh, I'm going to go out and buy this program tonight because Roy says this is a great program, please don't do that tonight. All right, you can sign up. Don't even sign up for free, because next week we're going to have the owner of SpyFu give a webinar, and he's going to have some special stuff for you guys. That's all I'm going to say right now. But SpyFu is probably one of the most powerful SEO tools available out there today for keyword research as a paid tool. What's really neat about SpyFu, you can actually use it to spy on your competitors, steal their keywords, or borrow them or whatever. But those, don't rely so much on what your competitor's saying. I'm just going to give you a word of warning on that. But in this screenshot, we can see what the cost to click is, um, and clicks per day. So those of you that may be doing Google AdWords, real neat tool to use, SpyFu. And here's some other tools. We can also spy on your competitors to see their top paid keywords and their top organic keywords. And this is going to put it all into a spreadsheet for you. We can see it in the next shot what one of these spreadsheets looks like. You can see the keyword in the search column, how many searches there are, how many clicks there are. We could even see, if they're using Google AdWords, what their Google AdWord advertisement is. That's a bad word, but I just can't think of it right now. The click value, and again, we could just scrape those our competitors' keywords. We could then, even go on a little further on using this. But SpyFu, I really think is probably one of the most powerful paid keyword research tools out there today. A lot of the older paid keyword research tools, I'm not seeing as much effect because of what Penguin and Panda's done to them. We just really, honest with you, we don't use them anymore. Totally, 100% true. We don't use them. Google AdWords and SpyFu is what we use today. And again, we're going to have a webinar next week. It's going to be with Mike Roberts, who's the CEO of SpyFu, and we'll have. I'm asking Mike to maybe have a bonus here for you guys when we do give this webinar. So if you're thinking about signing up or using SpyFu tonight, I'm just going to ask you maybe just hold off a couple days or a week, and we might have something special for you. Google Webmaster Tools. As an intermediate SEO, you're going to learn to use the Google Webmaster Tools a little bit better. One important feature of Google Webmaster Tools that I depend upon is the ability to use perform search query reports. Search query reports, a query might not equal. You're going to learn that not all queries equal a click. You're going to learn how to perhaps analyze your pages a little bit better, content below the fold. You can learn how to include your places results into your Google Webmaster Tools. You can learn how to compare irrelevant queries to relevant queries. And these are just reports that are going to be published on a basis that, it could be emailed to you. You don't have to go through the time and trouble of trying to figure out all these data. Once you figure out how to set this up, it'll be on a schedule, and if it's a weekly schedule, a monthly schedule, however you like it, it's going to be, sent to you. And this is just kind of an example of, the SEO reporting, how this can all be done, how you could set up your queries, and, have this information sent to you, so you don't have to just dig through the data every month. You set it up one time, and all this stuff is, done for you. Secure search is something that's really starting, or I shouldn't say starting, it has impacted reports in Google Webmaster tools. And we're seeing it now affecting more and more. Those of you that are not sure, never heard of secure search, people can search Google today with the HTTPS. And when you do use that, and if they do come to your website, their search queries are not saved in your Google Analytics. Now, initially, Google only expected this to affect about 10% of the queries that were going on. But now we're seeing this going even greater. Today, we're seeing about a 20%. It's affecting over 20% of our results in Google Analytics. Now, we're even expecting to see this even grow now because with more and more people starting to adopt Google Plus, because when you're signed in with your Google Plus account, you're basically searching Google, securely, and so it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. What I'm suspecting at one point, I'm just expecting that Google is going to make their Google Analytics a pay tool, and they're going to give those results back to you. But Google's, not, commenting on that right now. Now, as going back to the, this kind of focuses a lot on keyword research and optimizing your website. And let me grab a quick drink here. I got some great questions coming in, guys. I'm watching these questions come in. This is wonderful. One of the biggest mistakes I see many people do when trying to optimize their site is to focus too much attention on, or focus on too many keywords. There's just so many hours in the day, 24 hours in the day, and I only work 8 of them. All right. So many days in the month. So unless you have a huge team or unless you want to stay up all night and all day, what I typically like to do is I try to pick out 2 competitive keywords from my keyword list, my keyword research that I'm going to do. And I'm going to focus on those 2 particular keywords for the long term. And then I'm going to pick 3 buying keywords. A few weeks ago, we did actually it was last week. David did a webinar on how to find buying keywords, and really good webinar. We have a video replay of that particular webinar on our website. So those of you who want to learn a little bit more on how I do the rule of 5, it could be in there. And this is right here. Now, again, this is what I use. David, if you do listen to that video, David has his own way, and you guys, what I'm what I'm teaching you to do, and what David teaching to you to do, and Jeanette's going to teach you, or wherever you learn this stuff, you're eventually going to learn your own ways of doing your own stuff. I'm not saying that your way is bad. I'm not saying that David's way is bad, but as long as you get out there and do it, please don't overwhelm yourself. And the trying to optimize your website, there's no way you guys, if you're only a one-man team, there's no possible way that you're going to optimize your website if you got 100 keywords, unless it's just not going to be done. All right, because it's a lot more competitive out there today. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Try to, make it easy on yourself. And I like to use the rule of 5, and then I revisit in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. Content is extremely important for your website. It all comes down to content. This is for your audience, and how you optimize and market your content is critical today. I mean, it's just not writing. You can write the best content in the world, guys, for your website. If you don't properly optimize that content and you do not properly market that content, it's just a waste of your time. And remember, we need to focus when we develop this content on the user experience for our visitors on there. And the search engines are going to look kindly on that. We want to make sure that that our visitors can navigate through our sites easy. We don't create what we call spider traps or blockages, for our visitors and or our search engines. So just make your site just user friendly. One of the most important things is again user friendly. I'm going to try to remember to cough when I do cough, not to cough directly in the mic. If I did, blast you guys out, I'm sorry. Let me grab a little drink here. Now, query deserves freshness. And I am seeing this now more and more and more frequent in a lot more niches. Use the radar detector niche for an example. I wish I just brought the slide up for this. I mean, used to be, when I was in the radar detector niche, I could publish an article and, query deserves freshness really didn't matter in the radar detector niche. But other niches like the financial niches, or, that's, investment niches. I mean, those are niches that update frequently. Google specifically looking for really fresh content in specific niches. And what you want to do, if you're in a niche like that, it's going to be really, really difficult for you to ever rank unless you have a team of 8 or 10 people just spitting out content on a daily basis. As an example, we do have a client that is in one of the financial niches. And they do have 8 content writers. And their job is to basically spit out content on a daily basis. And it's going out to their news website and then on their website. And sometimes they're successful. It's a very, very competitive arena where they're in. The radar detector niche is not like that, but I'm starting to see, like example, I wrote an article. There was the Barrett-Jackson car auction here in Arizona 2 weeks ago. And I wrote an article about the Batmobile. The Batmobile sold at the Barrett-Jackson's car auction for $4.62 million. And in this article, I wrote, back in 2007, I had the honor of installing a radar detector in the second replica model of the Batmobile. It wasn't the number 1 replica, it was the number 2 replica model. And I wrote an article about that and how the Batmobile had just sold at the Barrett-Jackson car auction. Within 4 hours, that article was number 2 in Google. All right, QDF, query deserves freshness. I haven't checked on it today. I don't know if it's still up there, but this was last week. It was just, it was newsworthy and had something to do with radar detectors, and it went. And we had a ton of visitors, a ton of traffic just from that article. So that's just an example, okay? Right here, I didn't even think I made that screenshot, but I did. Here it is. It was number 2. And what radar detector does Batman use in the Batmobile? And that ranked very well for us. Today, Google authorship is very, very big, and Google authorship is becoming the number 1 factor for Google to determine the ranking of your content. Get away with I want you guys to just stop thinking about the ranking of your website and start focusing on the ranking of your content. Because I guarantee you, in another year, another 2 years, they're going to rank authors, not so much websites. And for your website to rank well, you're going to have a good Google authorship status. So what do you need to do? Today, if you're not doing it, you need to start developing a strong content marketing strategy. About 4 weeks ago, we did a free 1 hour, actually it was in October. Anyway, it's on our website. We have a free 1 hour webinar on Google authorship, and it goes through the 8 critical steps on content marketing. So if you just go to our SEO training website, if you want, I really recommend, if you don't know anything about Google's author rank, Google authorship, just go to our website, find this little link here, SEO tips, or just type in this into our search box right here, Google authorship, what is it? And we have a full 1 hour webinar. It goes through the steps on how you connect Google authorship into your website, how to connect it into your Google Plus account. How to increase. Here's some tips on how to increase your Google authorship status. Find out where your customers are hanging out and start engaging with them with your online content. Seek out opportunities. This is real important. Seek out opportunities to have your content published on other authoritative websites which link to your Google authorship page and increase your status. If you can do that, that's great. Google's knowledge graph. It's about strings and not things. Things is the using the study of semantics. It focuses on the relationship between signifiers such as words, phrases, signs, and symbols. And strings is the old way of doing search engine optimization by focusing on the keywords that you want to rank for. Last week I did an article, Breakfast with Google, and basically it's about a 16-minute video where the Google search team discusses this, what the Google Knowledge Graph is and why it's so important. They talked about the old Star Trek computer, being able to go to your, in Star Trek, that you ask the Star Trek computer a question and it answers it. But those of you that want to know a little bit more about the Google Knowledge Graph and how to optimize your content, very important, so you can so it's Google Knowledge Graph friendly. I really encourage that you read this article on our website. Here's a link, and it's basically the title of it's Google's Knowledge Graph. What is it really? A lot of great information in that. Advanced HTML markup coding. As an intermediate or more advanced SEO, you're going to learn more about the more advanced HTML markup coding, such as schema and microdata. Stephen, I don't know if Stephen is on our webinar tonight. I don't see him yet. But Stephen's our coding guru. He understands this very well, and it's becoming the schema, the microdata is becoming more and more critical for your site to rank in Google, and to decide where it's going to place your content, especially in local search. It really, really matters a lot in local search for those of you who have that local websites. In our those of you who want to learn more, I'm hoping to put together a little webinar with Stephen so we can explain it a little bit better. He actually has a website, and that's why I was hoping he'd be on the call today. I don't see him. But anyway, those of you interested in learning more about schema and microdata, we are going to have a local search workshop in March, and we're going to focus 1 full hour with Stephen on the advanced HTML markup coding, the schema and microdata. Also, we're going to have this class on our USB for our more advanced local search training come in March. Multimedia marketing. As your experience grows as an SEO or an internet marketing, you're going to be including more and more interactive content on your website. And Multimedia SEO helps you by providing that platform where your customers get to engage with you on a more personal level. Multimedia helps build your brand, gets you more traffic, increases your conversions, and makes you more money. And this next video, I really want to recommend you guys listen to this, the Multimedia SEO webinar, and learn how to optimize your interactive content. Those of you who have videos, those of you that have images. We're currently working with a client. They called us about 3 or 4 weeks ago. They were number one in their niche for at least 7 years. Very, very competitive niche. And on December 23rd, there was a Panda update, and they went from number 1 to like the number 38. And what hurt them, we're seeing, is duplicate content of images. Okay, where their images on their website have been duplicated on other websites. Now, they're the manufacturer of a particular product or service. And so their retail outlets, their associates, other websites basically had taken their images so they could use it on their website. And we're now going through the process of rebuilding those images and having new images, and we're optimizing those with some of the things we're talking about here in this particular webinar, where we're actually going in and embedding the metacode in the images, and this is going to help validate where these images belong to. So I really recommend you look at that. We've in the last 2 weeks we've moved went back to 38th position, and just changing the images and doing some stuff there with the duplicate content, we got the site back on the first page of Google in probably about 72 hours. So this is really the only thing we did, guys. And that was going back to the Panda update from December 23rd. As you're getting more and more into intermediate SEO, you're going to learn increase your interaction with your target audience using social media like Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. You're going to learn how to use automation tools correctly. And I'm going to say, correctly, because I've seen so many people get in trouble with some of these automation tools that are out there. They picked the wrong tool, or they got the right tool and they do it incorrectly, and they really get smacked down. They really hurt their website because Google can detect, some of this automation stuff going on, and it's going to hurt you if you do it the wrong way. This past Sunday, we had a one full day Facebook training with Bruce Safran. And it was basically an intensive Facebook marketing class. Bruce is going to be giving a webinar next month where he's going to highlight a lot of the stuff from his full day seminar. But as soon as and we're also going to be coming out with a full video training on this. But so if you want to learn how to use Facebook in a really interesting way, in some ways, a lot of us, he showed me, this blew me away. We had dinner Saturday night with Bruce, and he was showing us some of the things he was doing on Facebook as an affiliate marketer. I can't put it no better way. He blew me, Steven, and myself away. And when he was showing me how much money he was making from his affiliate accounts, he was blowing me away. Steven went home that night and he started duplicating some of the stuff Bruce is doing. It's not like an overnight switch. Guys, don't expect, hey, you're going to turn the switch on and you're going to get money into your checking account. No, it takes some work. It takes time and effort, like anything, right? But Bruce is building up a long-term business strategy, doing some really interesting stuff on Facebook, where he's getting, thousands of dollars in affiliate income on Facebook, and that's one of the things he's going to be talking about. Competitive research. Finally, as an intermediate SEO, you're going to be able to perform competitive research using tools like SEO Recon. It's going to be able to show you exactly where you need to focus your time and effort to take out your strongest competitor. We're going to be also showing you guys a new keyword, I shouldn't say keyword research tool, a new competitive research tool. Here we're in stages right now that it's going to be released, I think, here in about another 3 weeks. It's in beta test right now. My team is beta testing it. And guys, it's gonna blow you away. Some of the stuff that's gonna tell you. I mean, I'm just totally amazed. So look for a webinar. Those of you that are into competitive research, look for this coming here in about a webinar, probably in about 4 to 5 weeks. All right, let me take a quick drink. Jeanette, are you on the call with me tonight? I opened up your mic. Jeanette?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Jeanette, I'm gonna. You don't have the slides, okay? So I was going to I can make you the presenter. Well, actually, you can just help me out. You can help me out answering the questions.
Okay.
My throat is about dry, The long webinar, we're already coming on to 2 hours, so we're expecting probably about 15, 20 minutes of question and answers. Now, guys, we already got a bunch of questions, but don't let that, stop you from, asking some more. What we're going to be doing at the conclusion, I'm going to ask you, Jeanette, to pick out the best question. Can you do that for me?
Sure.
All right. And so we'll just, open it up for particular questions. Let me bring out the questions from now. Okay, let me get some of these questions here. A lot of great questions here. Yeah, we never do get those time zones right. I'm sorry, guys. Actually, we kind of screwed up too with this. There was a little error with what do you call it? Go to webinar with the time zones today. Is it still important to have your keyword repeat in the content 4 or 5 times as well as your H tags? No, dude, that's over optimization. This is a question from Roger Matthews. We're not. I mean, one time, Roger. Okay. And what we're going to be focusing on is the placement of that keyword proximity is extremely important today. So you take, like, let's say radar detectors. Okay, everybody knows I came from the radar detector world, and I want to optimize a page for radar detectors. So I want to make sure that word radar detectors is, towards the top of the document. Stephen actually did some tests using anyway, I'm not going to go in, but make sure it's really towards the beginning of the document as far as possible. Use it once. If I don't, don't try to repeat it. But here's where you got to come in with the Google Knowledge Graph. You want to bring in we got my site open here with the SEO Recon. All right, so I'm going to click on the window right here. SEO Recon. It's going to give you words that are not strings, are things related to radar detectors that Google recognizes as radar detectors. So you want to start focusing towards more or what other things are related to radar detectors inside your content, Roger. Don't focus, hey, I need it 4 times, 5 times, keyword density and all this other crap. I don't pay attention to it anymore. I really don't. Keyword density means crap to me. What means to me is the keyword proximity and Google's knowledge graph. Jeanette, do you want to maybe talk on that a little bit further while I grab a drink here?
Well, actually, it's SEM Scout that
Oh,
actually
yes, yeah,
does
Scout. Yeah, that's right.
the keywords, and what you're looking for are words that have relationships to the core word that you want to rank for. So it'll give you a list of actually words that are found on your competitors' pages, um, and that should be or are related to your theme. And that's kind of what it comes down to, is theming that particular page to focus on that keyword using um, words and phrases that are related to it.
All right, thanks, Jeanette. I love this next question from Pete. Pete was in he took our SEO classes last year, and his question is from Pete. I hear that in a year or so, SEO is going to be dead. It's all going to be about social media and how we should be looking into the future. Jeanette, how long have we been hearing about SEO being dead?
For at least 10 years now.
Ever since I started SEO, SEO is going to be dead. Search engine optimization isn't it's evolving. Okay. And again, I'm going to go back to my first slide. It's all about the science and art. All right. And it's still going to be important, for Google, for Yahoo, for Bing, if you have a website or people are looking for information on the internet to find your stuff. Okay. And if you're going to optimize, there's still going to be things that Google, these search engines are going to be looking for. And you know, well, the future here it is. If your future with Google, this there's a video here, the breakfast with Google search team. Okay, right here in this article, guys, they're talking about Google's knowledge graph. All right, why it's so important, why things are going to be more important than strings. And what this all comes down to is latent semantic indexing. Jeanette, how long have you and I been doing LSI?
Well, it's actually not really so much LSI, but it's more of the natural language programming
Yes.
and exactly how people like when you the best example I can give you in search and how it has evolved is, before 9/11, we would associate 9/11 or 911 with emergency services and things like that, and now we actually associate it completely differently with
Yes.
a national tragedy. Um, and that's how the search evolves and changes as our language changes. And there are so many different um, pieces of that puzzle that you have to put together. And SEO to me isn't so much about as it evolves, it also becomes a compliance issue because there are certain things you have to have and have to do right to be able to succeed with the search engines.
And compliancy, we really didn't go too much into compliancy issues in this call, but compliancy issues are real important. And basically, you need to have a your privacy policy page. You need to have if you're an affiliate, you have to have FDA disclosures, FTC whatever disclosure. What disclosure do we need, Jeanette?
FTC.
Yeah, Federal Trade Commission disclosures. I'm sorry, guys. You need to have those because Google's looking for those. All right. And we have an earlier article. We actually have a webinar. We went to quite a bit detail on that. If you want some information about that, I think that was a webinar about a year ago. This was a question from Alan Kirk. Is a good press release in the geo-targeted area of a website a good start? Yeah. You know, let me say something about press releases. I guess it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Matt Cutts. It was in December, so it was actually a little longer than that. Matt Cutts came out with a post that press releases aren't going to help you. We're not going to pay attention to them. Well, we proved him wrong. That's what I'm going to say. All right. We put together a brand new website, never been brand new domain. We launched it. We put some content on it. It was a local website, um, and we wrote some press releases, and that thing went #1 organically within 48 hours. It was #1 organically nationally, all right, for the keyword phrase that we wanted to rank for. For keyword phrase we wanted to rank for locally. So our initial intent was to do it for local, and it ended up working out very well for national. Now that site is still ranking very well. It's not #1 anymore, but it's kind of come down a little bit, but it's still on the first page of Google. So do I trust everything that Matt Cutts says? No. Okay. Jeanette, you want to maybe say something about that or talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, Google's not going to tell on themselves for the most part, and
Yeah.
I don't really feel, well, some of the things Matt Cut says, you pay attention to, and you kind of, look at the real world examples of what you're doing and what he's talking about. But, take what works for you and keep going with it. Um, you know, because they're not going to tell you everything. I like to do a lot of testing and I find that a lot of the things that they say that they don't look at, they do look at. And what one engine doesn't look at, another one does. So you have to kind of cover all of your bases.
All right. This person's trying to get the free 1 hour consultation here with this question. I love your sexy voice, Roy Roy. No, we're going to skip over that one. All right. With metas, it seems that a site with hundreds of pages requires each page to have separate titles and meta descriptions. It would seem that the meta
Yeah.
descriptions could get very repetitive. How do you suggest handling that? Well, every page on your website should be unique. It should have unique content. All right. So it shouldn't be that difficult to write a description of what that unique page is all about in your meta description. And then it shouldn't be that difficult to come up with a title for that particular page. All right. Um, it, it, it's so much about titles. Having a catchy title. Um, and again, Google's moving towards the, Google is moving toward the Google Knowledge Graph. So I don't pay too much attention so much anymore. I'm trying to get my title in keywords in my title. What I'm paying attention more so for is having a title that people are going to click in on. It's going to be something catchy that's going to engage the user. That when it is on there on that page of Google, it's going to have a higher click-through rate than my competitor's title. Okay, it's all about the title, stupid. All right, think of it that way. Um, so every page title on your site should be unique. Try to think of something again that's going to be catchy, that has a keyword phrase in there. It's going to engage your audience. Jeanette, do you want to maybe speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, each page actually needs to serve a purpose. You have to make sure that there's a reason for that page to be there. I understand on large catalog sites it can be a little difficult, but you want to, when you do create large catalog sites, you want to focus everything into its own little niche or set category or section so that it makes sense. Um, but each page has to have a purpose, and that's what that title tag is for. What do you want that user to do when they come to that particular page? And that should be your focus.
Okay. Uh, Jacqueline is asking if she can't stay for the whole 90 minutes, or you're going to have a replay. Yeah, we'll have a replay. We'll announce who the winner is for the best question at the end of this video or at the end of the presentation. So if you're not on it, you're going to have to come back and find out if you're the winner. All right, by asking all the questions. You mentioned this is a question from Dirk. You mentioned having a good foundation, which I strongly believe in for a local business website. My question to you, doesn't a mobile website get picked up from a good, strong foundational local search business website when search is performed on a mobile phone? Um, no, we're not seeing that anymore, Dirk. We used to see, I'm assuming your question has to do with the different algorithm that Google Mobile was using. I guess that's a good word for it. Because there used to be some part of the Google algorithm for local. If you had a local website that was mobile specific, it would be it would be indexed a little differently. You might be indexed a little higher. We're not seeing that anymore. We saw that about a year ago, and and shortly thereafter, it just stopped doing it. So if you're, the only and let's talk a bit. Little, we've done a lot of split testing. We spoke to a lot of people in the industry about this, about mobile sites. If you have a website, if you have a business like a pizzeria, a tow truck company, something where your audience is going to, hey, I need your phone number. I want to come to yours. I'm using my mobile phone right now, and I just want to find out what your phone number is. Having a very simple website between the rails. Okay, they come to the website, they click on your phone number and call you. All right, but now I'm not, and so if that's the intent of your business, I'm going to say, yeah, focus on building a local business website for that particular area. But I'm not going, you're still, I'm trying to think how to put this. Stephen, if he was on the call, he would be a lot better in explaining it because he was basically did the research with us. We're finding sites that are very content rich, just like your typical website. People are now used to coming to a website and navigating your website on their mobile devices. All right. And as long as you have your content where they're expecting your content to be, your links where you're expecting it to be, your phone number where you're expecting it to be, so on and so forth, we're actually seeing higher conversions on a typical non-mobile website than we are with mobile websites, unless it has something to do with a site that They just want to get you're a taxi cab company, you're a pizzeria, you're something to that. Jeanette, any thoughts on that?
Just with mobile search in particular, there are a little bit of differences in coding to make things a little easier for people to click on links and the phone numbers. And it's really important for a mobile website to have just the information that people want. But when you look at your Google Analytics, you can actually see what kind of users you're getting, so that can help you target your site a little bit better, or decide whether or not you want to come out with a just a full-on separate mobile site to try and capture more of that traffic, or just the interaction with that person. So if you have Flash, a lot of the tablets can't see
Right.
Flash, so you have problems there. Just different things, but in your Google Analytics, you can see, if they're using a tablet or a mobile device.
Okay. I like this question from Michelle. Does using a program like Hootsuite to schedule and post content, organic or shared, have any positive or negative impact in Google's eyes? Let me put it to you this way, and let me frame it this way in answering your question. Social media is all about engagement. We all know that. And the more engaged your audience is, your friends are with your particular posts, whether it be a tweet, whether it be a Facebook comment, whether it be a G plus comment, the more important that becomes. Um, now Bruce, we had we had the Facebook marketing webinar this weekend, and if those of you that have business pages, uh, you know, you think if you go to your fan page that you send out, a post or something, typically only 17% of your Facebook fans are going to see that ever in their feed. All right, that's something that was new to me. I never knew that. I knew not everybody saw it, but typically right now the ratio is about 17%. The way you increase that is by engagement. So let's start off with the 17%. Our audience is our only 17% of our audience is seeing this particular Facebook post or G plus post or whatever it's going to be. Now somebody interacts with that and now moves up. Now we interact with that. That person asks us a question. That moves it up. Now somebody else engages that. So the more comments, the more likes, the stronger this becomes. Now, if you're using Hootsuite or any other automated tool, and this is what I mentioned can get you in trouble. And this is what we see happening. We see businesses. Okay, these are the Facebook comments we're going to publish this week. These are the tweets we're going to send out this week, and they just stuff it in Hootsuite, and they never go back to see what their engagement is. They never, tried to get that moved up. They never engage. I might ask you a question. There's no. So now you're going from the 17%, you're actually decreasing. So if your social media content, if you're not engaging your audience as a two-way conversation, I think of your social media as it's more than a two-way conversation. It's, many to many conversation. If you're not using social media in that way, it's going to hurt you very, very much. So if you're just using Hootsuite and you're not going to engage, yeah, it's going to kill your website. Hope that answered your question. And I just need to stress that we go into a lot more. Bruce goes into a lot more detail with that. We're going to have that video here in that training here probably in about another month. But I hope you take away that's really, really important. Do keywords need to be used with social media as part of the strategy? If so, how often? What platforms are best for SEO? You got three questions here. Um, do keywords need to be used with social media as part of your strategy? Stella. Let's go back to one of my earliest slides in this presentation. And I said keyword research is the foundation of SEO and all internet marketing. If your internet marketing includes social media, then yes, you need to do keyword research. How often? How competitive is your niche? How what do you want to accomplish? What are your goals? What platforms are best for SEO? As far as social media, I'm assuming I'm going to say Facebook, Twitter, and G plus. Jeanette,
I would agree. I would agree. Those are the three majors.
okay. Will we have access to replay of this webinar? Yes. Um, we have a. I'm going to take. We'll take about 3 more questions. I'm looking. I'm literally looking here, guys. Probably about I don't know, several hundred questions. There ain't no way I'm going to get through them all. All right. So I'm going to take 3 more here. We have a retail store that sells furniture, and for the most part, the same furniture as our competitors. 95% of our website is images. How important is on page written content to our blog? Where can we find topics to write about? Most of our competitors are also using 95% images. Well, I'm going to bring you back to this little post I wrote a few weeks ago or last week. Google's duplicate image penalty. All right. You're going to say, well, I got thousands and thousands of these things. All right. What are the most profitable things you sell in your store, Steve? I want to ask you that question. What gives you the most return on investment? Is there going to, if you sell a desk and it, or this, whatever, and it brings you $1,000 if somebody, buys it, wouldn't it be worth maybe a little bit of your time to take a new photograph of that and use that as a replacement for the stock images you're using? And wouldn't it be worth your time to tag that properly to make that $1,000? Now, I wouldn't use that maybe on your office chair. That might make you $10. But go through the most important stuff on your website that brings you the most money. First, I'm going to ask you to read this article and watch that video, and then think about that. Because here we had the manufacturer, Steve. The manufacturer, he was not in the office furniture, but the manufacturer of these products. And because of all the websites that were selling the products, took those images and put them on their website. On December 23rd, they went from number 1 to 23. We're now cleaning up that mess. And the only thing we've been focusing on is right here, Google's image duplicate penalty. And they're now back on the page 1. So think about that. Do we have press release training? Yes, we do, Pete. It's going to be out in a video. We had a workshop. We had Amanda Vega here on Saturday. She's a public relations specialist. She has offices in New York, Phoenix, Singapore, Hong Kong, and we had a workshop with her on Sunday. And she wrote a book called PR in a Jar. And so we're going to be putting that on. I finished editing the video. I still have a lot more work to do, but look, in about another 3 weeks, I'm going to say we'll have that. You can buy that, and we're probably going to. I'm looking at maybe selling that whole package, her book and her 4-hour training on public relations. Also includes press releases for maybe $49. It's going to be a real bargain on that. If I do 3 things to regain my ranking on my website this week, what 3 things should I do? Oh, I really don't know. I'm assuming that when you say regain ranking on your website, I assume that you got penalized either by Google Penguin or Panda. Each uh, each algorithm has its own little things it's looking for. So I'm going to tell you to do one thing, and that's a site audit. Because unless you know what's exactly wrong with your website, you're going to be wasting your time, John. So um, if you don't know how to, I we do site audits for clients. We right now it's taken us about 3 weeks to get to you. We're that backlog. We got 8 people working with us to do site audits. Our typical charge, it depends on how large your website is, but typically a site audit's between 500 to 800 bucks. If you have a much smaller site, it might be simpler. John, if you want to send me an email, we could talk this a little further. But John, I wouldn't do anything until you know exactly what's wrong. On the case example, December 23rd, through the site audit, we found out that it was a duplicate image penalty. If we would have focused on content, if we would have focused on title tags or anything else, we would have been wasting our time. All right. So you need to know exactly what you need to look for. Uh, all right, Aaron Zimmerman. I understand there's a mobile website showing a video of a competitor. Okay, I'm going to skip this one. Thank you, Aaron. All right, I'm just going to take one more question. Um, how important is it to have interactivity of some sort on a local website? Even just having a poll. What's your favorite pizza? Yeah, I mean your goal is to get these people coming back to your website. Maybe have a contest. We have a computer store we work with, and they're going to have a scholarship. They're giving a scholarship away to a senior. All right, actually, they're giving a scholarship away to a senior. I'm not going to say how much it is, but basically what they're doing is they're asking each person that wants to be involved in the scholarship to write a 500-word article on what their plans are uh, going to college and how technology can help them achieve those goals. And those articles that these students are writing are then going to be put on this computer repair website. And then what there is an app that well, not it's not an app, but basically some program we've done. So we're you get to vote on the best article. So and you only could do that once a day. Are you with me so far? All right. So you're going, if you're a student and you want to get that $500 scholarship, you're going to encourage your friends, you're going to encourage your family to go there and like your article. You with me? Interactivity. Think outside the box. All right. Videos, whatever you need to do. Think outside the box. Think of something that you're going to bring these people back. Uh, Thank you for your comment. Keep smiling. You're doing a great job. Thank you, Aaron. Jeanette, who's the lucky? Well, before we even select that, all right, Jeanette, do you have somebody in mind? And before we announce who that person is, do you have that person in mind?
I kind of think so, but do you have any more questions?
You want to take one more?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. When using a video on a website page that's already optimized, how should the video be optimized? All right. Uh, right here. I'm not going to. This was a 1 hour webinar we did on optimization for your videos, and there's no way I'm going to be able to answer that. So just go to our website, Multimedia SEO webinar. It's a full 1 hour webinar on how to optimize your multimedia. This includes videos, PDFs, photographs, audios, how to tag them with some tools that you can use. And there you go. Just and if you want, you just can download the right here the storyboard. You can get it in PDF format. Okay. Um, one more question, Jeanette.
Sure.
Okay, this is the last question. All right. Do some CMS website designers, WordPress versus Weebly, rank better than others? Um, Jeanette, I have my own thoughts on this. Jeanette, I want to get Jeanette's thoughts first.
Well, um, as far as the CMSs, um, it's not really a question of which provider you use. It's best to have your own domain. I find that the sites like on for that you use Weebly or if you're using WordPress, they do okay. but they're more of what we use for building up link popularity and the kind of the web back and forth between our main websites. That's my take on it, at least.
Okay.
So I prefer to have my own domain and my own CMS. I've used everything from Joomla to WordPress to several other little pieces as well, like Drupal. But I have the best luck using WordPress because of all of the different add-ons and different themes and things that I can do to it.
Okay. I'm going to answer the question this way. First off, I'm a WordPress. I like WordPress. All right, so I focus a lot on WordPress, but I do not use WordPress out of the box. There's some things we do in WordPress that we tweak the code a little bit. Actually, Steven does, because I don't have a clue how to do it. If you ask me what we do, I couldn't tell you. All I know, Steven sits, in a dark room in the basement, someplace with, and he just does something to the CMS code, and it's different. It makes it a little different, and it works very well for us. Also makes it a little bit more, I don't want to say hacker proof, but it makes it a little bit more secure for us. So great questions, Jeanette. Don't reveal who the winner is, Jeanette, but do you have somebody in mind?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. All right, let me go back here to the presentation. Just a few things I want to do before we announce the winner. These are, some of the things the alumni say about us. We had we had some workshops over the weekend. Barbara Atkinson, she was one of our attendees. The training we received through Radar Roy and SEO training through the Phoenix SEO. She comes to our meetups. Those of you who are in Phoenix, we do have a free meetup group. We have free webinars like you guys are seeing right now, free video courses, but we also have paid training, guys. All right, that's our funnel. And anyway, she came to our paid training, and here's something she just posted on LinkedIn. And guys, if I would love that. You guys that are on this call tonight, I would love if you go to my LinkedIn page. My LinkedIn is Roy Ryer, ROYREYER. Post a little comment, all right? Alan Buckner, he's at the Red Cross. We worked quite a bit with Red Cross. He says that I'm one of the best internet marketers and practitioners out there he's ever been involved in. Our teaching is practical, proven methods. So we've taught a lot of people with the American Red Cross on things they can do with their websites. They're targeting CPR training and things like that. So this is something we did with the Red Cross, and thank you, Alan, for your testimonial there. Tom Wilkerson, I've known Tom for a number of years. He and I, he was in one of my earlier classes, and he says I'm the only person he would trust to stay current in current edge marketing strategies and method. And he says without question, I'm the most generous and honest person that he knows. So I want to thank you for Tom for that. So please, these are some of the things some of our fans say about us. Um, we're going to have our more advanced stuff coming up here in March. Those of you that would like to learn more about our advanced classes, we have a 2-day um, SEO Essentials workshop. We go into quite a bit detail of the essentials of what you need to do to get your site to rank. And then that's going to be on March 8th and 9th. On March 18th, we're going to have our local search workshop. Those of you that do SEO for clients for local search, or you have a local brick and mortar, all this training, by the way, is new. It's all new for this year. We'll have that training on March 16th, and then on March 22nd to 24th, we're going to have our advanced 3-day workshop. Now, until February 13th, we have our early bird discount. You can save $400 by going to our website, right there, SEO Workshops. You can learn a little bit more about them. On February 13th, the price is going up, guys. In fact, our Essentials class, I think we have 3 more seats. And if those 3 seats are bought out tonight in tonight's webinar, they're going to close out. We're going to close out the webinar or that training. So, for more information about our workshops, please come to our site. Jeanette, who's our winner tonight?
I think it's going to be Pete.
Pete Bass. All
Yeah.
right, Pete Bass. All right. Let me get a drink here. Pete, do me a favor, send me an email. You can get a site review of your own site, a competitor's site, whatever you want done. You got an hour of my time that's devoted to you, and I want to thank you for everybody for being a part of this call tonight. Again, we will have a replay of this webinar available for you in the next 3 days. We'll post a link to it. Jeanette, thank you for being
You're
part of the
welcome.
call tonight. And everybody else on this call, again, thank you. Have a great evening and good.